What's up, you big, beautiful Madridistas? Welcome to the Managing Madrid Podcast. We are going to get started in a second here and uh, talk about a lot of things. As you guys know, you've just watched the game. We're recording this shortly after Real Madrid draw against Osasuna in a very, very eventful game, not for football reasons, and we'll break it down in a sec. But first, as you'll see behind me, I feel like Carlo Ancelotti in a press conference. Our sponsors, Moji Mates and TAC Sports. Head on over to moji-mates.com. They have a special CR7 discount, which I believe expires today. So go to moji-mates.com, use code CR7 upon checkout for a 20% discount. This is in honor of Cristiano's birthday recently, and Moji Mates wanted to give back in honor of the GOAT. So go to moji-mates.com and get your favorite player on a shirt, whether it's Kylian Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, Vinicius Jr., Raul Asencio, whoever it is. Go to moji-mates.com. And also shout out to tacsports.ca, our friends over at TAFC Academy in Toronto. They run the best clinics for soccer camps, basketball camps, swimming camps, whether you want a March break camp for your kids or a summer camp or just overall coaching. They got the best coaches, best facilities in Toronto. Go to tacsports.ca. And I try to do this as often as I can, but I often forget. But we'll refer you guys. I can't speak English. I'm heated after a controversial game. I just got off the phone with my dad. If you go to managingmadrid.com, go check out our written stuff. Herdium went to Jude Bellingham's town where he grew up and asked some folks some questions and wrote a story about Jude Bellingham and his childhood. I have a tactical piece pinned on the website right now. So go to managingmadrid.com, check out the profiles that we've written, and also no doubt there will be plenty of match coverage. Matt Wiltse is here to calm me down. We're going to bring in Matt in a second here. But first, let's let Derek Ray and Ray Hudson do the intro, and we'll be back in about 35 seconds.
Nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest, and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
All right, welcome to the Managing Madrid post-game show. Osasuna won, Real Madrid won. Matt Wiltse is here. Matt, first thought that comes to your head right now. Just blurt it out.
Robbery.
Corruption. Scandal. Okay, so this one was pretty bad. I don't know about you, but I really felt it was hard to focus on the actual football. My football taking notes kind of stopped at like minute 40. And then by halftime, I was like, it was hard to focus on the second half without, just thinking about everything that was happening.
Yeah, I mean, this thing that's even, the thing that's sad is like the last 3 match days in La Liga, we haven't been able to talk about the game and analyze the performance because it always comes with the caveat of, well, we should have had this call. It's now 7 points dropped over these last 3 match days, and it almost entirely comes down to refereeing decisions. The non-red card call in Espanyol against Kylian Mbappe, and that player then goes on to score the game winner in the 90th minute, the game winner. Then against Atleti.
Hold on, you forgot in that same game, Vinicius' goal, which was called off.
Yeah.
Remember?
Because
Vinicius Mbappe was pushed, and then Mbappe pushes back.
And there was, I believe, a handball in the box for a penalty call. Atleti, the Tchouaméni non-existent penalty, like in no world is that a penalty that Julian Alvarez then goes on to score. And then today, obviously, there were countless decisions today, 2 to 3 non-penalty calls. But the big one being the red card to Jude Bellingham in the 40th minute. And I don't know if you've seen the videos, Kiyan, but it looks like all he said was like, I'm respecting you, and then just said like, fuck off. and and
With all due respect, fuck you.
yeah,
Look,
like it really wasn't
yeah.
that bad.
No, so um I played football my whole life. You played football your whole life. Not on the professional level. I mean, you probably you. I think you got to college. I mean, I played college too, but you were like. Anyways, the point is, we played this sport all the time. The shit that gets said to the ref every single game, minute to minute, from people on the bench, people on the field. I love that Craig Burley brought this up at halftime. He said, "I've been a player my whole life. The things you hear on the field are unspeakable, and the referees hear it all the time." And my feeling was when I saw the referee take out that red card to Jude, I thought whatever he said must have been the worst insult of he must have ripped his whole family tree. He must have gone back to the referee's family history, his grandfather, his grandmother, probably had a bunch of dirt on him and just ripped his ancestors to shreds the way he got a red card there. That better have been the case because I don't think you can justify a red card at all. Guys, look, Lucas posted that picture of Luis Suarez in the referee's face. I just can't remember how many times I sat there and watched on my screen the amount of the entire era of Barca players just surrounding the referee in his face and screaming at him point blank, as close as I am to my microphone without being punished. It's the nature of the game. Am I saying it's correct and it's good to abuse the referee? Of course, that's not what I'm saying. But I just thought like he must have said something really bad. So when at halftime, I had a conversation. It was more in the second half actually. I had a conversation with someone at the club, and I said like, "What did he say?" And he told me that Bellingham told us in the locker room that all he said to the referee was, "If this is a foul, then that's a penalty." And he was basically calling it double standards. Now I thought like, okay, well that's ridiculous. Bellingham was talking for a long time. So I'm pretty sure there was probably like a couple F words in there. I mean, he did say fuck you to the ref like last week or whenever that was in La Liga. But I said, even still, like, even if there was a fuck thrown in there a couple times, there's no way that's a red card. And then there's a video that Movistar posted, which is what you were referring to, which is, "I'm speaking with you with respect, fuck off." That's insane. We'll wait to see what the referee brings out in his report, but there's no way the referee can come out and say anything different than what we saw Movistar post. So whatever it is that they're going to report in their match report, it will not justify the red card at all. And of course, we're talking about the red card, but there were other things. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, non-penalty calls and then the penalty call against us. I even thought that was soft. Like that was a soft, debatable penalty. And so I tweeted this out at halftime. I think it resonated with a lot of people. I said it now feels like the refs are just trying to prove a point. Yeah. That the backlash in the media and with the Real Madrid TV videos, they're trying to prove a point that it doesn't affect them and that they're now overcompensating on their calls and decisions to deliberately prove a point that they're not bothered by it and that they're still going to make big calls against Real Madrid. And now it's just like tip the scales in the other direction so hard that it's ridiculous. And it's week after week after week. Like it's tiring. Like we don't want to talk about this. We do not want to talk about this, but we have to talk about it. And it's just, it's terrible for La Liga and the product overall. Like I'm genuinely curious what neutrals who have watched the last 3 games, if they've watched the last 3 games of Real Madrid, like what they think and what they think about La Liga, because any self-respected like neutral fan or even like a Barcelona fan watching it, like if you look at this like objectively and actually look at like what's going on, you can't say that these are terrible calls. Like it's completely shifted the title race now. Like we would have theoretically, who knows if we pick up all 7 points, but you would think that we would maybe pick up 5. Like that's a significant lead in La Liga.
So here's what Ancelotti said in the press conference. I don't think the referee understands English well. Bellingham said fuck off. He didn't say fuck you. The ref made a mistake. The translation of fuck off in Spanish is don't fuck with me. As how bad
And
can your
that's like what
be
English, like English, that's just what they do. They just say, the English just say fuck off. Like that's just kind of like what they, and they might say it like as a passing by, like kind of to themselves. Like it's not even necessarily, I mean, obviously it's directed at the referee, but like they say it so often that like it's not even a big deal to them.
Even if he had said fuck you, that's not a red card. We can't be so sensitive to just everyone who disagrees with us or criticizes us. Like, I don't understand it at all. And like you said, we don't really like talking about the referee. I certainly don't. Like I tried to steer away from the referee as much as possible. Even that Espanyol game, I did that post game show by myself, and I left the referee stuff to the very end because in that game, actually, like we played so bad, like there was a lot to actually go over and be like, look, as bad as the referee was, these are the reasons we also shot ourselves in the foot. I actually didn't have a huge problem with our performance today. Like it wasn't terrible. It was fine. I mean, we created a lot of chances. Our finishing needed to be better. And I think, there's criticism I have for Camavinga and some other things, but, it wasn't as bad as the Espanyol game. We did enough to win this game, and the referee just killed us in this game. Like we were in full control. Even after the red card, like we weren't that bad. So I just think, it's an unfortunate thing we have to talk about when it's this blatant. It's kind of like, in the Mestalla last season when Jude Bellingham's game winner was taken off at the buzzer. Like we had to talk about it. Like, there's no way you can dance around that. There's other calls in this game. We might as well flip through them because we're talking about the referees now. So there's the handball. There is. Why don't we go through it one by one? The handball. What were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, that was
the first
handball.
one, the one that where he's falling,
literally like minute one, and that was a handball. It was.
It definitely was a handball. That problem with the handball stuff is that it is kind of open to interpretation. Was he falling, and could he have avoided it? There's a slow motion replay which shows him like after he falls to the ground, his hand is moving towards the ball. That's why I took issue with it. And I think that it could have been reviewed at least. It wasn't even.
Yeah, that's the thing. They don't even review any of our calls. They don't review it. Only when it's a potential penalty, like a soft penalty that could go against us. That's the other thing that kind of infuriates me. They don't even look at it.
Yeah, which reminds me, I wanted to talk about what you said earlier about like ever since we sent the letter. Before we go deeper into these referee calls. It's too much of a coincidence that all of a sudden there's these terrible calls against us right after the letter was sent and we decided not to attend the meeting. And I just want to come and say something not just about Real Madrid, because even before this, I always felt, and I think the whole world would agree with me. This is the one thing I think universally everyone agrees on, is that the refereeing in this country is shit. Like it's horrible every week. And so it is completely fair to ask for change. You can disagree with the methods, you can disagree with the tone of the letter, you can disagree with not attending the meeting, but everyone would agree that change and improvement is needed. What the solution is, in my opinion, and look, there's not going to be one surefire solution. You just, you bang it out and everything will be solved. But like a good step would be outsourcing referees from another country, bringing in someone completely neutral and impartial, having more transparency with and the communication, like that thing we had in the Club World Cup where the guy who came out and said, "For me, is goal." That was great. The transparency was great. So doing stuff like that would be a good start. But it's just, and I said this on Twitter because it's so obvious after the last couple games and by halftime of today that it's like you're coming out and you think you're sending a message to Real Madrid. You're not sending a message. You're just exposing yourself. You're exposing what kind of league you're running when you're coming out and now trying to punish a team for coming out and speaking against you. And you can kind of see it in these micro details. Like they're coming out and punishing Real Madrid because they spoke out against the league. They come out and punish Jude Bellingham for criticizing the referee. Like these are all symptoms of like, not only we're not going to listen to you, but we're going to double down and just continue to just give you hell. And to me, it's they're exposing themselves. Now the problem is like, what is the outcome of that? And that's where, but at least you can see it clearly now. This is, and me, I'm not into like, my genuine feeling has been that it's not corruption, it's just bad refereeing. There's a lot of people who get screwed week in, week out. Alaves, who put out a statement during our game and had a whole statement that they put out saying that they want change. And I'm paraphrasing, I don't have the statement in front of me, but they said that they're very disappointed with the way that things are being officiated in La Liga this year against them. So it's not just Real Madrid who are upset with the officiating, but there are a couple instances which have made me think that maybe it's something beyond just incompetence and bad refereeing. And those two things that have kind of pushed me to that edge, started to get me to lean towards that side, has been one, the Negreira case. And you see the time where those Negreira payments were being made, and you just flip through what was happening in all those years and all those Clásicos, and all of a sudden it just clicked and it made sense. The other thing is the reaction to this letter from the league. Those are the two things. So the other, just to go flip to the rest of the calls, Matt, we spoke about the handball. Then there was the Vinicius one that was just on the borderline, like edges of the box. That one actually was more clear to me than the handball, because that's basically what City got awarded in the Champions League.
Yeah.
It's a foul. And the rule is, if the foul ends in the box, it can actually start outside the box. As long as it ends in the box, it's a penalty. And that one was a foul. And because it was a foul, it's a penalty to me. That was clear. What were the other ones? So we had, there was a Jude Bellingham one. And then there was also the handball and Fede's cross. Those were the other two. Those ones weren't as clear to me, but there's definitely a case for the Bellingham one. What were your thoughts on that?
I mean, you could also, these ones aren't as clear, but like there were plenty of times where, and I know the guys were kind of looking for it a little bit, but like Mbappe is held back when he's trying to make these runs in behind, and same thing with Vinicius, like, and the calls just they're not happening. And the one you talked about with Vinny, like that's a foul anywhere else on the pitch. So if it's a foul anywhere else on the pitch, it's a foul inside the penalty box. Like make the call. And again, doesn't even go to VAR, doesn't even get reviewed, there's no pause and play. Like
what, Matt? I didn't even realize there was VAR in this game. I forgot VAR existed until they brought it up to check Camavinga's penalty in the second half.
Yeah.
The one I had completely missed, which I only saw the replay at halftime, and this was around the time where all this chaos was happening, so I kind of missed it, was Fran Garcia just got pushed into the boards. Did you see this?
Oh, yeah.
I wish, we can't look at this on the screen together because it'll be a copyright issue. Yeah. Tebas will come down and ban our channel. But you guys know what I'm referring to. That one I completely missed. Like that one, it doesn't have to be red, but certainly like the fact that you can actually push a player into the boards after the play is over. Like there was no reason for him to push it. They were both out of bounds. Was just crazy to me. And then in the second half, there was one where Vinny was jumping for a header, and he's not touching anybody, and the defender marking him just pushes him in the air, and there was no foul. I'm like, all this stuff was just kind of like, these are all clearly weird decisions. So, yeah, we can just end the referee discussion on the Camavinga penalty.
Yeah, what's your opinion on it? I've kind of said in mine already.
I think I'm fine with that being called. There was a big deal made about.
I think it's soft. I think he got the shot off, like the contact's way after the ball's already.
It is, but see, I think there's a misconception with that. Like, just because the foul is after the play, it's still a foul. Like, if there's a foul off the ball, it's still a foul, even if the ball's nowhere near it. I'm okay with that being called a penalty, but I think the frustration with that one is that why was this one reviewed and not the others?
Yeah.
On that note, I'd have to watch it again, but why that whole play was weird. Courtois was pulled off a miracle save just before the foul was committed. Why was Camavinga back there marking like two players by himself? Like, I don't think Camavinga defended that sequence well, but he lets in someone behind him on the cross, and then he's late to the rebound. Where were the center backs in that situation? I'd have to like look back and see what was going on with that play. I was very confused as to like, because I was looking for Asencio, and I was just looking for the defenders, and I couldn't see anyone.
Yeah, I'd have to go back as well. I don't really.
Yeah,
I don't
this
remember.
is the problem. There was like so much going on. Like, it's hard to talk about football. I think that we actually have a good super chat. Oh my god, we have super chats a lot. Okay, let's go through them. Ural Desai says La Liga should come up with a mental health PSA. Now let's hope we recover and rest for the second leg after playing 50 minutes with 10 men. Ural, La Liga does not care about your mental health. The only people who care about your mental health is us on this Managing Madrid podcast. We're here for you, bro. Consider this your mental health. This is your therapy session. You come here, we care about you. La Liga doesn't care about you, Ural. Only we do. Surjai Vijay says, why are our captains never the first ones to confront a referee? They stay away from the scene and get in when havoc's already caused. It rubs off. Actually, like on the Bellingham red card, Modric was the first person speaking to the referee. He was right there. And then Bellingham comes over. Nishlish Patel says, Alaba and Camavinga have been given pens for the same handball. Yeah. I mean, I'm not the best at this. There are people who are really good at just pulling these out, but like just the idea of like going through and finding out all the double standards and instances where this was called or wasn't called. I'm sure there's plenty. All right, so this one will transition us a little bit. Nishlish says, I'd like Real Madrid to take accountability for a loss and draw, but this isn't on us. We have a tight match against these teams away, and usually the effort wins us the game. Every criticism for us goes to bed when the refs call the game. I think this is the point you were making earlier, Matt, that like we can talk about like what we did wrong and stuff, but if the referee just does their job, this is a W for us, and we're having a totally different conversation. So,
yeah, I mean, it's hard to blame Carlo and the players after the last 3 match days. Like, yes, we played terrible against Espanyol, like you said. Even today, like we probably should have been 2 or 3-0 up even before the red card. And that's something some other topics I do want to talk to you about. But this is it's hard. Like it's hard to really be overly critical and overly analyze when all this stuff goes against you. Because even mentally as a player, like when you consistently have these calls go against you as a rep, like you can't help but to get frustrated and feel the negative momentum and feel like it's all against you, and like you just throw your hands up in the air at every call, and like it's just natural. You can't help it. And so I think all of that negative momentum, it does affect your play at the end of the day.
One more refereeing thing. Just when we want to move on to football, you guys just pull us back. This actually might redirect us. Tony says, yes, the refereeing was poor, but come on, it was frustrating to watch his team play. Everyone trying to do their own thing, relying on individual glory. So many missed passes, no tactics. Look, our finishing has been poor the last couple games, and our build-up has been like our build-up against City was fine. We created a ton of chances, missed a ton of chances, generated enough to score 3 goals. Today, we generated a ton of great chances. Mbappe, I thought, had a good game. He put the ball on a platter for Vinny at the far post, if you remember, in the first half. And, Vinny's not really a target guy with headers, but, that was a great chance. Then you had Mbappe set up Vinny again in the first half from the right.
Yep.
And he should have done better with that. And commentator was saying, well, okay, the ball was a little bit behind him, but he could have redirected that better. So those were 2 great chances. I thought Vinny started to play a little bit better in the second half and grow into the game. I think you did enough to win this game. So again, did we play great? I don't think so. Let me ask you this, Matt. What were some of the glaring issues to you? from a pure footballing standpoint?
I think it's just converting chances. Even against City, it was the same thing. You brought up the good opportunities that Mbappe put on a platter for Vinny, but I also think Mbappe, if you look at between the City game and this game, he's missed some big chances. And like, honestly, I was really hopeful after like the Valladolid hat trick and kind of that run he went on that he was going to be, okay, vintage Mbappe, like clinical, taking every shot, scoring every goal. I feel like it's not like the Mbappe of the first half of the season where he was a complete ghost and just devoid of confidence, but maybe my expectations are too high, but I expect him to be converting the chances he's getting. And like City, he got his goal, a little bit of a fluke goal, but he missed some big ones in that game. And then today as well, he had some big chances when he threw on goal and he's not converting them. And that's where I'm getting frustrated. Like he's meant to be this guy and he needs to score these goals.
He seems Apologies. Sorry, I'm having nightmare issues with my mic. I gotta fix my mic. So he seems to be thriving on some more difficult chances. I don't know what it is. So here are the ones, Matt. This was the 90th minute one. This was a great run. He just kind of bounces off the defender, shows a lot of great strength. I mean, he's been so quick. He was latching onto some passes that were overhit to him today. Like his speed was on full display. So this is the one that was saved in the 90th minute with the one arm. I mean, okay, so look at this. This was the one we were talking about earlier, Vinicius. 0.62 on the XG chart. This is right point blank in front of goal. Another one with Vinny. This is the one that Mbappe set him up again from the right. And then you have a couple others. Mbappe there, Vinny here. So we created a decent amount of chances. I also wanted to speak, Matt, about the right back situation. I mentioned this to Lucas. I am kind of terrified. Like at 7 p.m. CET on Wednesday night when I see the official lineup. And I think my heart's just going to sink when I see Lucas Vazquez at right back. I'm also concerned that Raul Asencio might not get the nod with Rudiger back. And I'm just preparing myself mentally for this scenario. I am prepared. That morning, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to let off some steam, prepare for the inevitable. I might go like outside my house like 3 hours before the game and just scream really loud, just let it out of my system so that when I see the lineup, I can compose myself and gather myself. I bring this up for two reasons, because I love Fede Valverde's performance today at right back. And I loved him against City at right back. No doubt he is going to start against City in the second leg. There's no question about that. The question is, will Vazquez take his place at right back and shift Fede Valverde to midfield again? And I just think that's way too risky of a move. I thought his coverage was great today. Reads the game well defensively again. Individual defending on the wing is good. And he just when he gets up the field, like those passes into the box are unstoppable. We saw him set up Mbappe today. I'm just terrified of that moment. And I thought Raul Asencio had another great game today. Continues to be great. Angelo was telling me we did 2 podcasts for members in the last couple of days. We haven't been on doing any of the free ones. So, but those of you guys who are members, you know we've been active. And if you want to be a member, you don't want to miss any of these shows, go to patreon.com/Managing Madrid or hit join underneath this video on YouTube. So Angelo and I were recording on Thursday, and he was saying, like, how many mistakes has Raul Asencio made this year? And we went through it. We thought of like a couple, like 2, 3, 4 if you're pushing it. Isn't it strange that a player in their debut season from Castilla, like young players make mistakes? That's normal. There's growing pains. Like, you expect it. This guy has been just so reliable. It's pretty amazing. So I think Asencio should start at center back, and I think Vazquez should start at right back against it.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, you can tell me if you've seen anything different, but I've never seen anything like Asencio's rise in terms of a player that no one talked about.
Yeah.
no one talked about, comes up, is like third man on the chopping block, probably fourth if Marvel was still around, and gets his chance for like 30, what was it? Like less than 10 minutes into his debut at the Santiago Bernabeu, plays a 70-yard pass to Jude Bellingham, like shows his cojones, shows his personality just through that pass and seizing the moment, and then goes on to play 10, 15, however many matches, close to 20 now, where he's been nearly foot perfect. And like you said, like out of that sample size, only 2-3 mistakes, like that's unbelievably impressive. And he's played at Liverpool, at Anfield. He's played against City at the Etihad. He's played against Athletic Bilbao in San Mamés. He's played against Atletico Madrid. Like, this is a guy it's not like he's just playing against some smaller, easier La Liga teams and in the Copa del Rey early rounds. Like, no, he's being put through the fire, being tested, and consistently comes out on the other side. And not only that, not only is he playing well, but he's showing so much personality, so much character. Like, I think we all have fallen in love with just like who this guy is. Like, he's a competitor. He doesn't take any bullshit. Like, he just goes out there and he sets the tone. Like, that's what I love too. He'll set the tone with a crunching tackle, or like you saw him G'ing up his teammates after City had a couple phases where they were starting to dominate a little bit in the second half or first half of that game. And he's 21 years old, not phased that like, hey, his teammate is Luka Modric or Vinny Jr. or whoever it is. Like, he'll start barking orders at them. Like, and that's what I love about him. And been super impressed with him. And to your point on Fede Valverde, like, honestly, his performance against City was incredible. Like, to play that position, to play right back, and to some of the distribution he had from that position, like that one pass that kind of like he played from deep and swerved all the way around the defensive line to Vinny Jr. Just incredible. Like, I feel so much more confident with him at right back. Marmoush scored a hat trick today against Newcastle playing off the left. So like, we need a good right back. I think we need Vinny there, Fede there. And I'll be like you. I would be very, very disappointed and very worried if he's not starting at right back on Wednesday.
The way Ancelotti worded it in the pregame press conference was, Fede will play at right back tomorrow, as in today, the Osasuna game, and he'll continue to play there until Vasquez comes back. He also said Vasquez is back against City. So put 2 and 2 together. Maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised. Lucas, we did a podcast yesterday, and he's like, for sure Vasquez will start, no question. We'll see. I wanted to go back to
I'm
Asencio.
not as confident on that as he is.
You're more
I
confident?
think Fede will start at right back.
Okay. I hope you're right. I want to say one more thing about Asencio, and then we can move on. You're right. It's one of the more out of nowhere revelations we've had. I think in previous occasions when someone comes in, a young player, and comes in and plays really well, there's some inkling we've had, like, okay, we knew about this really talented player. We knew who Raul Asencio was. We did not have him on the same level of potential as Jacobo Ramon or Jean Martinez. The other thing I want to say about him is just, you mentioned all those, like the character he has. There's also a composure to him. There was one sequence in the second half today where it looked like a really difficult ball to deal with. It was in the air, coming down, and he had a striker about to press him, like just breathing down his neck, and then he had a choice to head it back to Courtois, but it looked like it would have been hard to get enough power on the header to head it back to Courtois. So he kind of pretends he's heading it back to Courtois. He does a little fake, and then he just brings it down on his chest, brings a touch out of pressure, and just passes him. Like, the composure is really impressive.
Well, against City too, his composure, like, he had a couple times where they were pressing him on his left foot. He was playing left center back, obviously, because Tchouaméni has to play on the right, and he was on his left foot, and he just pinged great couple lofted passes out of pressure, like, no problem. And we didn't even know he had that in his repertoire. Like, he just continues to do things that we're like, wow, he's so composed.
Bellingham after the game in the mix zone. Sorry, he says, it's clear that a mistake was made. There was a communication error. I don't want to repeat what I said, but it's more like fuck. And I want everyone to know that I didn't want to put the team in a situation where I wanted to leave the team with 10 men. If you look at the video, you can see that it's not the same as what the report says. I hope that the federation takes that into account. I didn't insult anyone. It's clearly seen in the video. I didn't even say it directly to the referee. I said it to myself. It was a lack of understanding, a clear error by the referee.
Do you think there's any chance with the federation that will be able to appeal this?
Have we ever had an appeal successfully appealed?
I feel like we have maybe once before, but I don't know if this like sets a bad precedent that like, okay, then if this gets appealed, then they'll be like, then people can start just cursing. And I don't know if they feel like it sets a bad precedent, even though it happens all the time.
Which again, he didn't tell the referee, fuck you. He just said, fuck. This is hilarious. Mr. Sushi22 says, when is the last time VAR reviewed a foul or a penalty? Shout for us. Genuine question. Matt, this one's on you because I don't even know what happened yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure probably, I'm trying to think of La Liga, not just because Champions League is a different story, but maybe somebody can let us know in the comments, but I feel like we maybe had one at the start of the season. Felt like we had a good run where we were getting actually consistent penalty calls at the start of the season.
RE says, yo, Kiyan, refs in Halifax are better than La Liga refs. Shake my head. And I thought it couldn't get any worse. You know this firsthand. LOL. Just proof, bro, that refs are just terrible everywhere. I'd love to know who you are. Did I grow up playing footy with you somewhere? But yeah, I agree. We've definitely had our fair share of shouting at referees. Daniel Smith says, the prime minister in Spain needs the Catalan votes for their party to stay in power. It seems like football and politics are becoming increasingly intertwined. You just touched on the Negreira case. Daniel, I love you, but I'm staying away from this one. I just am severely underqualified to speak about this subject, brother. And when I talk about things I don't know, I'm not informed enough about, I'll get in trouble, okay? Matt, any opinion on this?
No, I'm like you.
All right. Mr. Sushi22 says, we were dominating before the red card. Also, no tactics shouts are ludicrous. People that say that simply don't understand how tactics work. I thought we were pretty good. I mean, what did Osasuna do before the red card?
Yeah, no, we were great before the red card. Like, we were just done. That's why I said we should have scored 2 or 3. My only frustration is that we didn't score 2 or 3 before the red card. Like, we could have put this game to bed before the red card.
I don't think there's anything that I was truly threatened by from Osasuna before that point.
They couldn't even get out into our half.
Like, there was one point where the camera pointed to Budimir in the first half, and I was like, oh yeah, Budimir. We always struggle against that guy because he's such a freak. What minute was the red card in?
I think it was the 40th. So
here's the SofaScore momentum thing that I love to check. So this is us here. There is a little bit of a momentum shift here with Osasuna, and then the red card happens here. And then we didn't really have that level of control again in the second half. So, I mean, clear impact. That no-brainer. I don't have to tell you guys. You guys can see it for yourself. Sagnik says, I'm telling everyone, the Clásico will decide the title. We have to win away at the Montjuic. The title race is crazy. P.S. Fede, Man of the Match award. Performance wasted.
Yeah.
Did he win Man of the Match?
I don't know, but he's definitely a worthy contender. Yeah, I mean, the frustrating thing for me is like we shouldn't have had to win away at Barcelona. Like we were in a position to have a pretty healthy lead, and it's all been wasted away over the last 3 games. And then again, it's like, yes, our performances could have been better. Yes, we should have converted more chances. Yes, like maybe Carlos should have made subs earlier against Atleti or whatever. But it's hard to really have much of a huge, like, without having a huge caveat of all these refereeing decisions. Like, it's impossible.
Willard says most of Asencio's mistakes came off of Vasquez playing right back. Yeah, this probably goes back to when we were talking about Asencio and the mistakes he had. I guess that's how behind we are on Super Chats. But this is also true. Like, you think back to the penalty he conceded against which team? I forget what it was. It was at home.
Oh, it was in Celta, right? Was it in
Maybe Celta.
Copa del
Vasquez
Rey?
just gets cooked, and then Asencio has to come over, and then he commits the foul. I'm not saying he's blameless in that situation, but certainly there's like domino effects of when Vasquez gets cooked, the chaos starts. People have to like scramble. They have to like start running. They have to leave players open. Just shit happens. I love Fede Valverde's competency there. And for that reason, he's a clear starter for me. In big games anyway. Start Vasquez at home against Celta. No, don't, because we just talked about that. Start him at home against Alcorcon. Juan Sanchez says, sorry, I think I jinxed us after the City game. Juan, I don't know what this means, buddy. I don't know. I don't have no context for this super chat. Rocky says Carlo is overachieving with this weak squad. A 40-year-old playing 90 minutes. Lack of investment is hurting the team. If we're broke, how do we compete with state-owned clubs 10 years from now? Perez out. Matt, I know you're going to disagree with this heavily.
Yeah, I don't feel that Carlo's overachieving.
Sorry, I meant you're going to disagree with the Perez out part.
Oh yeah, Perez out. I'm definitely not on board with. I think we're gonna rue the day when that man eventually leaves the club. Like, I think years from now we'll look back and be like, wow, that what he did, everything he did for the club, and the legacy and the foundation he left behind is something that we're all going to likely look back on and be pretty thankful for. But yeah, in terms of the first part, I don't know that Carlo's overachieving. I agree that, like, hey, could we have maybe done something in January in terms of player recruitment? Maybe. But it is we've been very long-winded about some of the things Carlo could have done differently this year in Clásicos, with in-game substitutions, with all a bunch of different things, even with a depleted squad.
He is not at fault for the board not purchasing any defenders. He's not at fault for injuries. I think he is at fault for insistence on playing Vasquez, not rewarding Asencio with his starting role.
Not integrating Lorenzo and some of these other kids just in case.
Yeah, getting a head start on integrating these kids. So, I think the blame just goes around. You know, it's not just all in one thing. So, also the competing with state-owned clubs. Look, this is a club that will always have pull. It's a club that will, because of the name, because of how well it's run, it's going to always have the pull for superstars. If it was only about money, all the best players in the world would be at Saudi Arabia by now. There is something bigger than that. And, you know, the fact that we do have, you know, some of the best players in the world, arguably, like, you know, the entire Ballon d'Or podium, arguably, were Real Madrid players this year. You know, obviously, like, Rodri's in the mix, but if you go in like to the top five, you can start talking about Toni Kroos. You can start talking about Fede Valverde as one of the best midfielders in the world, and the team is star-studded. So they're going to be able.
Madrid is a great place to live. So
there's no question about that part. Yeah. Ask Mariano Diaz. He's like, it's okay. I don't have to play. Just pay me. I'll stay here. I'll stay on the bench. I don't need to play.
I think the one thing that I've been thinking about over the last few years, that, like, if I'm Vinny and I'm Jude and stuff like that, is like, between the racism and the refereeing, like, that just drains you. Like, you can't help but feel for them and feel that they must be incredibly frustrated every single La Liga game.
Yeah. Listen, plenty of blame to go around. And I don't think it's all on one person, but Perez out is, you're gonna see what it's like without Perez once he leaves, and I'm worried about it. I'm genuinely worried about that era. So, hold on, I think I skipped one here. Sagnik says, I don't know how much you guys watch Castilla or Juvenil A, but I swear Raul was behind Jacobo and Joan in terms of reputation. We got two world beaters waiting. And obviously, we're referring to Jean Martinez and Jacobo Ramon. Could those two, because they were rated higher than Asencio, come in and be even better than Asencio? I don't like it. It rarely works like that, where it's just the people
I
who are.
I don't see how any player could have as strong of a debut season as Raul Asencio's had right now. Like I don't know that anyone could match this. I think it'd be very, very difficult. Even Lenny Yoro
he's
and
not
all
even
these
playing.
other guys.
He's not playing like a debut
Yeah.
season. He's playing like he's a 27-year-old who's been with us for 7 years.
Like even if we had signed Lenny Yoro, I don't think he would be playing as well as Raul Asencio is right now.
Factually correct, because I don't think you can upgrade what Raul Asencio has been doing.
Yeah.
I truly don't. Like he's been that good. It's been amazing. Look, if the theory was correct though, Sagnik, and because that's how it works, and the players who were more promising coming in, they're just better. I don't think it's going to work like that. I will say, and I promise you, this is not a reactionary take after Jacobo's debut, because I don't think it's fair to judge him based on that debut alone, obviously. But Jean Martinez is the one I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
Really, truly excited about.
I am too.
Matt, you and I were on a podcast together in the summer when the news broke that he tore his ACL, and it was just devastating.
It was devastating.
We got a couple more. Willard says Vinny was the last appeal at the Mestalla. Okay. I don't even remember what that was.
Yeah.
Do you?
No.
I'm just like nodding and smiling. Yeah, that one. Vinny appealed at the Mestalla. I honestly don't remember. It's just, there's just so much football. I'm honestly impressed that people remember these details. I try my best. That's why I'm just a prolific note taker. But even like with Real Madrid history stuff, when I have to like remember things from my history, I literally just put Control F in my book and just like, oh yeah, that did happen. Yeah, I wrote about that. But it's really hard to remember those things. There's so much football. Ari says we won 6 titles with Metro Mariners FC. Name's Regis. Big fan of your work, by the way. Keep going, Halamadi. Awesome, man. So Regis, what's up, man? It's good to hear from you. Regis is one of the best players I've ever played with. He's just a demon on the right wing. He would get the ball and just dribble through the whole team, score, put in a cross, and he was just an absolute weapon. Regis, shout out to you, buddy. Host says Atletico got a red in 10 minutes of their game. Yeah, so you know what's funny, Matt? I was just going through when I was looking at the SofaScore attacking momentum, and I just went through and I saw there was also a red card in Atletico versus Salta. They're at halftime now 0-0. And the Leganés Alaves game this morning, which is probably what prompted Alaves to put out that statement.
So 3 red cards in a row.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's good news for us, though. Atletico.
Yeah. I mean, we need some Barca refereeing catastrophes.
They play against Rayo tomorrow.
Is that home or away?
Home. But I mean, to be fair, Rayo are like a bogey team for any big team.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm keeping my expectations quite low, but
yeah.
It was Pablo Barrios in the 7th minute got a red card for Atletico, and they are 0-0 against Salta at halftime. So we got to the super chats, and that was important for me to do. So I got through my notes. There's a few nerdy stuff. I'm not even going to bring it up. Shout out to Jude Bellingham, who was the guy who won the ball that led to
Fede assist. One other shout out that he's a guy I've been hard on in the past, but I have seen the improvement. Is Fran Garcia. I think he's gradually improving more and more. And I'm still not 100% there with him, but I think he is improving. Like, there's no doubt about it.
I did want to have a Camavinga bullet point.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I want to hear.
I actually wrote about him after the City game. It's pinned on the website if anyone wants to go look at it. he seems to be going through this like low floor, high ceiling kind of performances. Like you saw when I asked Ancelotti about Camavinga after that game against City,
Yeah.
and he talked about his positioning and his decision making and his passing, and he also said he was outstanding. And I went through it and was like, yeah, it's true. He had a lot of outstanding moments against City, and he also had a lot of bad moments where his passing put our team in a tough spot. City nearly scored
Hospital balls.
from his giveaways twice. Today, I didn't like his passing. I didn't like some of his decision making. He looked a little bit panicky. He had another nightmarish, 2 minutes or so that led to one of Courtois' miracle saves in the first half. And he also did some good things. I think he's just going through it. He won't truly become the guy we are hoping he's going to be until he cleans up those mistakes.
Yeah, and I think he needs to get a consistent run and stay healthy for a consistent amount of time to kind of get back into his groove. Like we need the Camavinga that dominated at Anfield. Couple years ago, that from the defensive midfield position, and like that's who we need consistently. We've only got it in spurts. And I think a big part of it, which you've talked about a lot, Kiyan, is he just needs to stay healthy at this point. Like he's had a run of injuries this season, and I want to see him stay healthy, get a consistent amount of matches, find that match rhythm, and then we can properly judge him.
I'm done. I don't know. Could you guys hear the smoke alarm in the podcast that's been going off? Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. This damn smoke alarm. Now I got to go.
It always goes off on the worst times. It's usually like 2 a.m. in the morning.
The smoke alarm hasn't been going off for like a year. And now it just is like, oh, Kiyan's doing the podcast. And I can't get out of the podcast and go like press the button, because press the button, I have to go get the damn ladder like a 40-year-old man.
It's a whole.
And then you got to go get the battery like you got to go to like Home Depot, get the battery, then you got to go up there and just change it. It's a whole ordeal. I hate changing that thing.
Yeah.
Damn smoke alarm. All right, I'm gonna go deal with the smoke alarm, change the battery. Maybe just press the button because I'm too lazy to go and do the battery thing. Just press the button for now and then change the battery later. This is really important, guys. The Manchester City post-game show, the second leg. As you guys know, that is the biggest game of the month. And the biggest game of the month, the post-game show, was always only for members. It's our way of saying thank you to our members and, having a nice, really intimate show with them. So if you want to be a part of that, join us. Lucas will be at the Bernabeu, and hopefully Matt will be there. We'll see. We'll talk to him off air. Leo will be there. I'm going to see. Angelo might hop on. We're going to try to have a big crew for that one. Patreon.com/Managing Madrid. If you're on YouTube or don't have Patreon in your country, just hit join underneath this video on YouTube on our channel. There's also a memberships tab on YouTube if you can't find that. So join us after the game from the Bernabeu against City. Big game coming up, season on the line. These are the big nights, obviously for Real Madrid and also us on the podcast. So, it was a pleasure, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Matt. Oh, one at the buzzer. Willard says the red card when Hugo Duro had him in a chokehold. Oh my God, that was so long ago. Was that really the last one? That was last year. Okay. Crazy stuff. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Matt, thank you. We'll see you guys after the game against City. Peace out.